A Federal Reserve survey found that a significant percentage of Americans could not cover a $400 unexpected expense without borrowing money or selling something. $400. Not $4,000. Not a major crisis, just a car repair, a medical copay, and appliance breaking. This statistic is sobering because it reveals how financially fragile millions of households actually are, despite living in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. The problem is not always income. It is the absence of a financial cushion, a basic buffer between normal life and the debt spiral that a single unexpected expense can trigger. The emergency fund is the most fundamental financial tool there is, and it is the one most commonly skipped. The standard advice is to build an emergency fund equal to 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses. That means rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, minimum debt payments, the non-negotiable costs of keeping your life running. 3 months is the floor, intended for people with very stable income and low risk of job loss. 6 months is more appropriate if you are self-employed, work in a volatile industry, have a single income supporting a family, or have health issues that could affect your ability to work. Some financial advisors recommend pushing toward 9 to 12 months if your circumstances are particularly uncertain. The specific number matters less than having something meaningful, because any buffer is dramatically better than none. Where you keep the emergency fund matters almost as much as having it. The money should be liquid, meaning accessible without penalty or delay. It should not be invested in stocks because markets can drop 30 to 40% exactly when you need the money most, during economic downturns that often coincide with job losses. The correct home for an emergency fund is a high-yield savings account, often abbreviated HYSA. These are FDIC-insured savings accounts offered by online banks that typically pay significantly higher interest than traditional brick-and-mortar banks, often 4 to 5% in higher interest rate environments. Your money stays safe, stays accessible, and actually earns something while it sits there waiting for an emergency that may never come. One of the most common objections to building an emergency fund is, I have credit cards, I can just use those if something goes wrong. This reasoning sounds practical, but it is actually one of the most expensive financial decisions you can make. Credit card interest rates average around 20 to 24% annually. When you charge an emergency to a credit card and cannot pay it off immediately, you have converted a one-time unexpected expense into an ongoing debt that compounds against you at a punishing rate. A single car repair that you could not pay out of pocket becomes a chain of minimum payments that stretches for months and costs you significantly more than the original repair. The emergency fund breaks this cycle before it starts. Building the emergency fund from scratch feels daunting if your starting point is zero. The practical approach is to treat it like a bill, a fixed monthly obligation that comes off the top before discretionary spending. Even $50 or $100 a month adds up. Set up an automatic transfer to a separate high-yield savings account on payday before you have a chance to spend it elsewhere. Name the account emergency fund so you feel psychological friction before touching it for non-emergencies. Give yourself a clear milestone, $1,000 as your first target, then 1 month of expenses, then 3 months. Each milestone is meaningful protection even if you haven't reached the full recommended amount. Something is infinitely better than nothing. The emergency fund is not exciting. It does not produce spectacular returns. You will not tell it stories about it at a dinner party. What it does is protect everything else you are building. Without it, every unexpected expense is a financial setback that sends you to high-interest debt or forces you to withdraw from investments at the worst possible time. With it, a broken car, a medical bill, or an unexpected job loss is an inconvenience rather than a catastrophe. It is the foundation every other financial goal depends on. Build this first. Build everything else on top of it. Your future self will thank you in the moments when life does exactly what life does, surprises you.